Now you're getting guys, like every year you get at least one 5-star and a bunch of 4-stars. What's been the difference in this 10 years?
Well, I guess according to you guys, people are not happy with the top 15 recruiting class. So I guess that's the biggest difference. Used to, if we could get in the top 30, it was pretty good. So I guess now, we've raised the bar, but that's a good thing. And we're going to continue to do that and continue to recruit the best players. But listen, we're beyond the point where people are surprised if we sign a great player or a great class. Clemson is a special place. And if you just come take a look at it, you'll see for yourself. Now, I get that all the time, man. People will say, golly, there's just something different about this place. That's because there is something different about Clemson. And I encourage guys, go see other places, all that. I got all the confidence in the world in Clemson. And, so it's been quite a journey over the last 4 years in getting us where we want to be. But we're certainly at a point now where, we can recruit the best of the best. That Paul is on ESPN as much as anybody, and it's just going to continue. I know there's a lot of people that wish we'd go away, but we ain't going anywhere. We're just going to keep getting better and develop our guys into being the young men that we all want them to be, academically and athletically, and prepare them for life after Clemson. And that's the thing I'm most proud of. We're top 10 football team, but we're top 10 academically. We're graduating our players 100% this year and going to be 100% next year. So, these guys are winning on and off the field, and that's why we're recruiting at a high level, because we're having success, we're doing it the right way, and, we've been able to win on the field. We've got fantastic facilities that have been committed to us, and our coaches do a fantastic job. We've got a great group of men who go out and represent this program, and they can deliver the message the way we want it delivered.
Dabo, you've got some pretty significant recruiting rules changes coming in next year. Can you talk a little bit about that and the impact that you see that making? I mean, it looks like, I'm not sure they've done you any favors.
No, I think that, I think Clemson's one of those programs that got to make a decision, on the direction we want to go. If we want to continue to be elite, or are we going to be satisfied with just pretty good? Because the rules are going to drastically change the way business is done. And, it's something that I've seen coming for a couple years, especially over the past year with the things that I was hearing. But basically what they've done is they've just deregulated everything. And so everybody can spend their money wherever they want to spend it. And what's going to happen is these major programs, and we certainly have the wherewithal here, they're going to create personnel departments. It's just that simple. Because everybody can recruit. Everybody in your building can recruit. So I've got some really quality people here already that are going to be able to, they can't leave the campus, but they can get back to recruiting. It'd be great for, Brad Scott to be able to get back on the phone, and Woody McCorvey. Those are some pretty established guys. But you're gonna have programs. There's already programs that have huge, enormous support staff, and a lot of finances committed to that support staff. Not a little finance, a lot of it. And so now those guys are all going to be able to recruit. So that's going to be one part of it. There's truly going to be a whole personnel department, and everybody's evaluating, everybody's recruiting, everybody's calling, everybody's texting, because there's no limits on communication based on what they're saying. So everybody's doing all this stuff. So it's going to be crazy, to be honest with you. And that's probably the area that it's going to change the most, is just the personnel side of it. And people are going to have to decide if they want to compete like that or not. And not everybody's going to be able to do that. But it's going to basically just make that gap bigger between the haves and the have-nots. That's basically what's going to happen. So that's a huge part of the rule changes is everybody being able to recruit and evaluate, and then the communication is going to be unlimited. So we'll see where it goes.
Were you not consulted about any of this since the center for this work was done just over the hill?
Oh, we were all consulted, all the head coaches, and listen, this has been going on for a while. We've all spoken as conference coaches. We've all spoken as AFCA coaches, and then in particular here, I had opportunities to comment on lots of things, but that's where we are right now, and I don't see it changing. But no, I don't particularly like it, but I'm thankful that I'm in a place like Clemson because we can definitely compete, but we're going to have to improve in some areas to keep up.
It also seems too that there's no consideration for the young people that are and their coaches at their high schools.
Yeah, that's the really sad part to me, just simply because, I just give you an example. I got a lot of friends. I'm thankful for that, but we might have a big win, and I might get 200 text messages. All right, which is great, and for these prospects, that's going to be every day, all day. It's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. You don't have to take somebody's call, but the text messages are going to roll. It's just going to all the time. That's what's going to happen because you're going to have these personnel departments, and that's all they're going to do. They're going to sit there, and here they go. And I'll tell you another thing that is going to have to happen is, we're going to have we need a full-time marketing person, not just us. That's what's going to take. You're going to have a full-time marketing person, a full-time graphic design person, because there's no rules. Hey, I need a graphic design person I can go to right now. Hey, I need this poster for this guy today because I need it mailed tonight, and because that's what's going to happen. It's going to be enormous, the amount of money that's going to be spent on just mail outs and stuff like that, because all those restrictions are gone. And we talked a lot about saving money and all this. Now, it doesn't make any sense to me, but that's the rules, and we got to play by them. And so what we got to do is maximize those rules. But there's going to be people that bringing in, like I said, marketing people, and that's all they're going to do because it's unlimited. There's no rules on what you can do based on where we're heading. So it's going to be quite a ride, at least for a couple of years, because it sounds like that I guess they're going to give it a couple of years and then maybe kind of evaluate after that. But we'll see. But there's definitely we're going to definitely have to compete in all those areas.
Are there any pros to the new rules? Any things that will be a benefit to
the pros, I would say, it's nice once you get a guy that's committed to be able to communicate with him. To be able to actually text a guy or call him, that'll be nice. But I don't really like all the other stuff. I think that there should be some restrictions, and not it should be some restrictions for these. I got a kid that's going to be in the 9th grade next year. I can't imagine having a prospect in the 10th, 11th grade, 12th grade or whatever, and it's just their phone just never stops. That's their world. That's how they communicate. And I just don't think that's good, and I don't think it's good for the high school coaches either. That part I don't like at all. As far as the personnel changes, hey, I love that because again, we're one of those haves schools, and hopefully we can separate ourselves from some others because we'll just have more manpower. More personnel, and that's what some of the schools have already done.
It would also seem to me that too, I tend to think it kind of affected you this year, and some other schools too, with this open game of texting and tweeting and all this kind of stuff. That once you get a kid you think is committed, you suddenly
Become the hunted.
They're going to come after him, man. It's like the rabbit in the forest. They got all these guys after him with guns.
Yeah, well, that's why we need an early signing period. It makes no sense to me that we don't have an early signing period. And that's something that I know as the head coaches that we're going to continue to beat that drum. But I don't know if they're going to do it. But as I said earlier, have one. Nothing needs to change. The calendar doesn't need to change. The official visits don't need to change. But because they're all committed anyway. They're already committed. But if you had an early signing period in September or early October, everybody would sign, and you could move on. and then you could save some money. But if they don't sign, then you're not held hostage as a program. You know, okay, well, he's really not committed, and then now you can move forward. Because when you fill your numbers, you're locked in. And then to protect them, as I said a couple weeks ago or whatever, if a coach leaves or a coach is fired, then those guys are basically free agents again until the February signing period. Because that's what's happening, or they have the choice to say, no, I'm going to stick with my commitment. Because that's what happens anyway. Because all these guys are committed, coach gets fired, coach leave, well, they decommit, or they decommit anyway. So I just think that an early signing period would cut a lot of that stuff out. I don't think there's anything that really else needs to be changed, to be honest with you. I think it would take care of itself, but I don't know if that'll happen.
Coach, once again, you've got a couple guys from Daniel High School on the board. How nice has it been to have that pipeline the past few years right across town?
Well, you just look at the guys we got on our team and the guys that have been here. You go back for many years, even before I got here, there's been some quality players from Daniel. But, you look at Jarvis Jenkins and, what he did here. And then here comes Nuke. Obviously, he's left his footprint here. And Deshaun. Hey, C.J. Davidson is a kid on our team right now that I think is going to be a factor on this football team. He signed here as a track player and ended up giving that up and came out for football last year. Was a little behind, but man, what a really good athlete he is. He's a guy I'm anxious to see this spring, coach him up a little bit. So it's exciting. Shaq is a quality player. Gerard Williams is a guy that we really love having in this program, but he's been hurt. He hadn't really quite been able to stay healthy. But they do a great job up there at Daniel. You get one of those guys, you know what you're getting. And, Coach Rob and his staff, they prepare them very well. And hopefully we're going to have one of those preferred walk-ons coming in here from Daniel as well.
What will be the plan with the two running backs? Will there be one spot that they're going to compete for to avoid redshirt this fall, or is that still kind of up in the air?
No, shoot. Like I said, we only got 3. So we'll just have to, that's way up in the air. We got to kind of see where we are once we get them in here and get through camp. And there's a lot of water to get under the bridge before we can make any of those decisions. Backs get banged up, nicked up. And then Hot Rod is going to be our senior, and DJ will be a junior. So, and then Zach. So it's going to probably be hard to keep them off the field. But again, it's not a decision we got to make right now. But I'm just thankful that we got them, and both of them very physical young men that are excited about their opportunity to be here. And I'll be glad when they get here in June.
Coach, what happened today? Is that what you thought would happen, or more than what you was hoping for?
No, that's what I thought would happen. I felt like that we would sign anywhere from 21 to 25. A couple weeks ago. That was kind of the high end. So I think we did very, very well. And today there was 3 guys that we felt like we had a shot on today, and got 2 of them.
Any good stories to share from in-home visits or dealing with particular prospects or families?
I'm 500 on the Nigerian Mamas. I batted 500 this year. I got a chance to go up to Brooklyn. That was quite. If there probably should have been a reality TV show following me and Dan Brooks going to Brooklyn. That was quite an experience. I don't like to venture too far out of my comfort zone, but if you look at, we got 7 guys from South Carolina, 5 from Georgia, 4 from Florida, 3 from North Carolina, and 1 each from Maryland, New York, Alabama, and Hawaii. So there were some interesting stories, late nights, terrible flights, a lot of food. That's the only thing bad about being a head coach is everywhere you go, they just feel like they have to feed you. And so you're always hungry and you love everything. So, but we had a great time going up to Brooklyn. Dan and I, neither one were even going to try to drive. So we hired a driver, and it's just a different world up there. Ebo has to travel by train or bus everywhere he goes, and this was a interesting school that we went in. In fact, there was a big fight that broke out while we were there. Of course, Ebo doesn't flinch, and me and Dan are going, "Hey, what is going on here?" But, you know, meeting his mom was awesome, going in and seeing her, and she just has an incredible spirit to her, and that was quite an experience. I'll just be honest with you, because I'd never been to Brooklyn, and it's pretty different from Pelham, Alabama, and Clemson, South Carolina, that's for sure. And then going out to Hawaii was phenomenal. Once we got there, I wouldn't recommend a 10.5-hour flight, be on the ground about 15 hours or so, and then 10 hours back. I don't recommend that as far as your Hawaiian experience, but that was an excellent trip because, you know, we got to get out there, and CJ was still there, so we got a chance to go over and see him, have dinner at his hotel. That was pretty neat, hanging out there, and then the next day going over to Maunalua High School and visiting with the coaches and Scott's family. But probably the best part about it was, you know, Scott's dad is a lieutenant in the Navy, and you know, so they had set up that afternoon, myself, Scott and his dad, and actually one of the guys was from Spartanburg and another guy was from Columbia. And so one was Clemson, one was a Gamecock. And so it was an interesting day, but they had a little private boat waiting, and they gave us a private personal tour of Pearl Harbor. And that was really just surreal experience, you know. And that was amazing to be able to go and see the USS Arizona and see that memorial and actually see the ship still in the ground, I mean in the water there, and the oil bubbling up. That was a really surreal moment for me and Brent, because Brent was with me. So, you know, that's the great thing about recruiting. You get to experience a lot of things, meet a lot of people. But those were two of my favorite trips this year, going up to Brooklyn and going out to Hawaii.
I really like recruiting, but I'm not real good at figuring that out. You as a head coach, you mentioned a couple times today already about the players, about come from great families, support families. Is that something you look for? You know, if you had a player that was just awesome, but the parents said, we don't want him to come down here, we're a bunch of rednecks. I mean, what would you do if you had a player that's so good?
Listen, I've cut a lot of good players. There's been a lot of good players that I've said, no, we're not going that way. There's been a lot of guys that we've spent time with, and I'm just like, it's not going to work. You know, the fit has to be there. And you know, when you try to force a square peg into a round hole, most of the time it doesn't work. And you know, not that we don't take some chances on some guys from time to time, but you know, it's big. You know, character is huge. Sometimes you got some guys that are rough around the edges, and you have to understand that on the front end. Where are they from? What's their environment? You know, all of those things. You have to take that into account. And then do we feel confident, based on who he is, that our program can help him? And he's going to be willing to do the things that our program is going to require. And we don't always bat 100%, but we've got a pretty good track record in making some critical decisions on guys. But yeah, that's big. When you can find guys that are committed, they're talented players, but they're committed. They have work ethic and character. Football is important to them. You know, and especially if you can find guys that come from good support systems, it certainly makes your job easier. But that's not always the case.
I wanted to ask you is there any difference between recruiting a player to play in the ACC versus the SEC or anything? Not just the need of the player, but is there something different you look for because you're in the ACC versus being in the SEC? I'm just, you know, not really.
We just want great players. You know, the SEC would like to make you think that, you know, but you know, that they invented football and that you can't be successful unless you play in that league. But we certainly don't subscribe to that. You know, and thankfully, for 3 years in a row, the recruits that we've been bringing in here, they don't buy that lie either. They're more focused on bringing in the championship back to Clemson. And that's really all we focus on, but it's just trying to get the best players. It don't matter who's recruiting them or who's not recruiting them. You know, we have a criteria that we like at each position. We have an evaluation process that we go through thoroughly. Sometimes guys we really like, a lot of people like. Sometimes guys we really like, there's not many people that like, for whatever reason. I don't know why. But you know, it's just like the TJ Green kid this year. We didn't find him until late. We never even saw tape on the guy. And he was as good a looking a prospect as we saw. Couldn't believe it. And I knew exactly what would happen. And we tried to, it's hard to keep anything quiet with all you guys around here, but we tried to keep it quiet because I knew what was going to happen. And as soon as people found out he was coming up here, he was going to, one of those in-state schools would offer him, and they did. So we were fortunate to be able to hang on to him. But you know, it's just a process that you go through. And again, we have a criteria we believe in. And, you know, if they fit that, then, you know, we go full speed.